Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and today we are going to be talking about the Sorcerer. Yes, the Sorcerer. Got all the info there. Blah. You can kind of see it. Anyways, what is the Sorcerer? It's an arcane caster, very similar to the Wizard. Um, Basically, has to have very precise hand movements, so arcane spell failure is very important. So if they're using armor or shield, that's going to make it so that they can't really cast spells very well. Sometimes they'll fail, basically. So generally, sorcerers do not wear armor and do not use shields, except for ones that they create themselves, which do not carry these penalties. Anyways, they also get a familiar, just like the wizard. Um, these are all things that are very similar. Their spells are the same as the wizards, almost identical spell list. There's one spell that only wizards can do, and that's because it has no use for a sorcerer, due to the fact that sorcerers do not prepare their spells. Yeah, it would actually be a very stupid idea for a sorcerer to use it. But anyways, yeah, it's a very, very similar class to the wizard. There are a few differences. Mechanically speaking, the biggest difference would be that, well, the sorcerers use charisma instead of intelligence. In addition, sorcerers also, well, let's go with the negatives first. On the negative side, sorcerers, um, they only have a certain number of spells that they know. Whereas the wizards can effectively know every single spell, although that takes quite a bit of doing. The sorcerer can only know a very small number of spells, and it's very difficult for them to change those out. They have to get kind of higher level before they can do it. So that's kind of a downside for the sorcerer. Um, but they're a good class all in all. They also have the downside to the fact that they get their spells one level lower. They get their spells one level higher than the wizard does. So if the wizard gets a spell at third level, they're not going to get to fourth level. It's always one level longer that they have to wait before they get the new spells. Now they have some upsides too. Sorcerers, they can cast their spells spontaneously. They don't have to prepare their spells, so that's definitely nice. In addition, sorcerers actually know more spells than wizards do, so that's another big bonus. Now, sorry about that. In terms of playing a sorcerer, there's some big differences there. Um, the wizard gets all his spells by reading the books. Yes, they're book nerds. So, yeah, that's your wizard for you. Whereas a sorcerer, they actually get their powers innately. How the sorcerer actually gets his power is a sorcerer is, to some degree, part dragon. It's draconic blood flowing through their veins. It's very mild. It shows no effect in their racial abilities. It's just that diluted, but it does give them the ability to cast spells. So, yes, if you actually look at the dragon, they actually do cast spells as a sorcerer would, not as a wizard would. So that's pretty cool. What else is there? Another thing about the sorcerers is they get their spell casting ability at puberty, which is kind of a weird little detail, but it's something to keep in mind if you're going to be playing your character. For everybody, puberty is kind of an awkward time where everything's changing and blah 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 blah. I mean, I don't want to get too much into that; it's a little off topic. But, you know, imagine going through all that, plus randomly casting spells that you had no intention of casting. Making things catch on fire, things flying across the room, things freezing all of a sudden. Um, just random stuff, being able to read people's minds, all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, that's completely unintended. So they had a very odd adolescence, even more strange than most people. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind if you're playing a sorcerer because, well, that's important to your character development. Also, sorcerers, since they have charisma as their best score typically, they're generally a very charismatic class, which means people tend to like them, despite the fact that sorcerers tend to be arrogant. Yes, they tend to be quite arrogant. They tend to have that condescending attitude, like they're so much better than everyone else. Which, for you know, oddly enough, that is an attitude that actually draws people in for whatever reason. People are actually intrigued by such a by such a thing. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense, but yes, I think it's the confidence. So, what can I say about sorcerers? um, yeah. But yeah, so that's one thing you want to keep in mind about the sorcerer is that they do tend to be a little bit arrogant. I mean, you don't have to play yours that way. I do not believe diplomacy is a class skill. It might be, but bluff and stuff like that tend to be uh, more of the charisma-based skills that sorcerers get. So they do tend to be more on the yeah, they're kind of jerks, try and get away with stuff. Um, yeah, that's kind of the way sorcerers often play. Um, yeah, I guess there's not a whole lot more to talk about this. I haven't ever really seen anyone play a sorcerer before. Um, I've seen wizards quite a few times. Haven't really seen too much with sorcerers. Haven't done a whole lot of NPC sorcerers. Um, yeah, they seem like a pretty cool class. I mean, they're almost the exact same thing as the wizard. There's a few subtle but very important differences, like I mentioned, which is why I haven't seen a whole lot of them. Most people, they just go with the wizard because of the fact that they get their spells a little earlier, but the greater number of spells per day is a pretty big boon. So, yeah, and the spontaneous casting is definitely nice as well. But anyways, that's really all there is to say about the sorcerer that I can think of. So if you guys got anything you want to add to that, anything you want to discuss about something that I've said, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. But anyways, I've been Mitch, and I'll be seeing you.